Don Quixote, written by Miguel de Cervantes, was first published in two parts in 1605, and 1615 is a timeless literary classic about a nobleman who becomes obsessed with chivalric romances and sets out on absurd adventures with his squire, Sancho Panza. The novel explores reality versus imagination, the human condition, and the search for meaning, offering a humorous and poignant glimpse into the human experience. Welcome to our channel, where today we'll be discussing the summary of this iconic novel. Join us as we delve into the adventures of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza and explore the themes and ideas that have made this book a beloved classic for centuries. Let's dive in. Welcome to the adventures of Don Quixote, a nobleman from La Mancha who becomes obsessed with chivalric romances and decides to become a knight-errant. Join us on a journey of chivalry, madness, and self-discovery. Don Quixote, a man in his mid-50s, lives in a small village in La Mancha with his niece Antonia and his housekeeper Teresa. He spends most of his days reading chivalric romances, dreaming of adventure and chivalry. One day, Don Quixote decides to become a knight-errant, renaming himself Don Quixote, and sets out on a journey with his trusty squire, Sancho Panza. Their first adventure takes them to a nearby windmill, which Don Quixote mistakes for a giant. With his lance in hand, he charges at the windmill, only to be knocked off his horse. Sancho Panza tries to explain to Don Quixote that it's just a windmill, but Don Quixote is convinced that it's a giant, and that he's been enchanted. As they continue their journey, they come across a group of travelers who are being attacked by a group of bandits. Don Quixote intervenes, thinking he's saving the day, but ends up getting beaten up by the bandits. Sancho Panza tries to help Don Quixote, but he's too busy fighting off the bandits. Eventually, they manage to escape, but not before Don Quixote gets hit on the head with a stone. As they rest at an inn, Don Quixote becomes convinced that the inn is a castle, and that the innkeeper's daughter is a princess. He tries to woo her, but ends up getting rejected. Sancho Panza tries to bring Don Quixote back to reality, but Don Quixote is too far gone, convinced that he's living in a chivalric romance. As they continue their journey, they meet the Duke and Duchess, who play a trick on Don Quixote, making him believe that he's been enchanted by a wicked sorcerer. Don Quixote becomes convinced that he's been turned into a donkey and starts braying like one. Sancho Panza tries to bring Don Quixote back to reality, but Don Quixote is too convinced that he's a donkey. Eventually, they manage to escape, but not before Don Quixote gets into a series of humiliating and hilarious situations. Despite his madness, Don Quixote's determination and courage inspire a sense of admiration and sympathy from those around him. As they return home, Don Quixote's niece and housekeeper try to bring him back to reality, but Don Quixote is still clinging to his chivalric ideals. In the end, he realizes that reality is not as exciting as his imagination, but he's still proud of his adventures. And that's the story of Don Quixote, a man who became obsessed with chivalric romances and went on a journey of self-discovery, madness, and adventure.